is, and I really want to see from him, is if he gets that confidence going. Because he's such a huge confidence player, and when he starts to really ramp it up, it's pretty out of this world. But we're about to start.
Let's do this. This is going to be the QuakeCon 2016, the first match we've got of the event. It's Spartie versus Rafer in a best-of-3. We're on Spartie's perspective for the time being, getting that mega side of the room. No real delays on it, a pretty standard start, picking up all the items in here. We'll need to get that railgun at some point, but can't hear Rafa at all.
Yeah, so it's just all about getting the early information, trying to play it fairly safe. Obviously, Spartie with a pretty awesome start, looking to grab that next red armor. He's got good position for that as well, and he's just trying to ward Rafa away, and he's going to be locking him in that choke point. There's not really anything Rafa can do to stop Spartie from taking away the red armor, so
very good.
It's a great start for Spartie. He can really dictate the pace, and this is the position he needs to be in. I mean, I've seen so many matches where he can really turn it around. Yeah, well, he struggles to turn it around if he gets a bad start, but if he gets a start like this, it's a very different story entirely.
Now, I think Rafa's going to try and delay him as much as possible here. Oh no, he's actually going to be able to fight onto the mega health. That is extremely dangerous from him. Does take a little bit of damage, but Spartie should be good to get himself that next red. And he's not taking any rails from it. As soon as I say that, he takes one rail from Rafa. But he's not taking that time out yet to get the weapon himself. Solid damage over here, but he can't quite get the rockets to work. Rafa is just playing with him, and it's going to take him down in the end. That is the first frag. I feel like Spartie got a little bit ripped off in that instance. Yeah, that was beautiful stuff here from Rafa, and he's looking to follow it up as well. And Spartie's going to be very frustrated, as you say. He did not expect to get caught like that. Rafa, all he needed to do was just keep doing a bit of damage, maybe steal away an item, but he actually managed to just catch Spartie in an awful spot. He picked up the frag, and he's got the pace of the match now in his hands. He just has to make sure that he can control the red pickup of Spartie and get the red back under control. Then he's in a really good shape to take a dominant position. And it was actually that one rail that Rafa landed that really instigated that fight as well. If he hadn't got that 80 damage, I mean, you could see Rafa had less than 80 health left. It would never have happened. And he's going to drop down on him in the end. Rafa is taking a fair amount of damage. He might be giving up that red. He is. And Spartie's going to push. He's going to try to equalize over here. He's got that rocket down, and he is going to make it happen. Well played, Spartie. I think Rafa was just in way too deep there.
Yeah, potentially biting off more than he can chew, but he's lucky to actually spawn on top of the mega health, and Spartie was not in any position to steal it away. And that's kind of the... I think Rafa actually kind of did go in a little bit too far there, and that he did give up the mega potentially, but yeah, he's a bit of luck, able to try to steal away the red. Spartie knows he has to win this fight, and Rafa's going to drop down actually onto the lightning gun of Spartie, and this could be problematic as Spartie gets some good damage off, and he can just fall back onto the armor. You can't say that much for Rafa in that sense. He's going to be falling back with almost, well, very little health. He's got one yellow to his name, as we can just see him picking up, but he's in a lot of trouble here. We've got Spartie in with a rail.
I think that's the first rail that he's fired of the game. He should be getting that frag very easily. There you go. He was quite low. I say very easily. Maybe spoke a little too soon. But with that red armor coming up in a second, if he can get some damage on the entrance here, he might be able to pick it up himself. No, not going to happen. Not at all. And that is going to be a red and a lower yellow for Rafa as well. As soon as he decides to pick it up, he'll have that rail alongside it. And although Spartie's got the lead, he doesn't have the control.
Yeah, it's been actually quite back and forth with the damage. So it's interesting to see that neither player has gotten a significant lead just yet. Spartie trying to play it very, very safe. Of course, he knows that both items are spawning pretty soon. He's going to try to take the safe route, and Rafa's going to do the same, but he will have the ability to take a rail, and then the second one is connected as well. Now this is problematic because he can go in for the finishing blow, and it's the third rail that will do it.
Those rails were absolutely solid from Rafa. Spartie did not know what to do with himself. And now, as soon as this fight's disengaged, I can quickly explain what's going on. Well, it's not going to at all. Spartie wanted to go in, see if he can get himself onto that red. Extremely aggressive, and I don't think it paid off. But for anyone who's joined from the other realms of Twitch, this is Quake Live Duel, where the players fight each other and to get as many frags as possible within 10 minutes. Whoever's got the most is the winner of that map. And that's going to be one more. So good rocket at the end, though, from Spartie. I wonder if he's going to call that, make that an opportunity for him to push onto this red. A little bit late, lets Rafa pick it up, and he can't get that close enough range to make the shotgun really as effective as possible. And then Rafa with that 50 health bubble, and he's going to get the frag anyway. 5-2. And what has Spartie really done there to make all those frags suddenly go in Rafa's favor? It was so close a moment ago.
Yeah, Rafa's been connecting some great shots. I think it's interesting to see that there was that spot where he did go for the overextension, and perhaps that is due to his confidence in trying to play some of these marginal situations with execution. And once again, we're going to get one of those spots where he's got a big stack. He's going to actually lose some health getting hit there by Spartie, but he can afford to go in. But it's he already has a lead of 3 frags, so he doesn't really want to get too over-aggressive, give up too much stack. Here, especially as some of the items are coming up. You want to use the stack to try to secure these items. He will be able to lock Spartie behind this choke point, steal away the red. Mega is in good time for Rapha to make progress there without Spartie getting position over him. So Rapha's still just locking down control, slowing the pace down a little bit.
Oh wow, Spartie was actually behind him of all places. A little bit of LG damage, Spartie not getting anything done there. Although his armor is still pretty good. He has taken a red and some couple of yellows over the last couple of rotations. I think he tried to get a rocket jump out there from the lower yellow just to get himself out there in case Rapha decided to aggress into that rail room. But there's 4.5 minutes left in this. 3 frags is not a lot if you're able to get a clean frag. I think Spartie should really play a slow game at the moment and see if he can conjure up a decent sneak attack where he's at least left with 100 or 200 collective health and armor at the end of the fight.
It's a really cool position for Rapha if he can just hold on to this control so steadily as he is, because Spartie's going to be forced to make the move. And if Rapha just always just keeps him at a disadvantage in positioning by just, you know, okay, maybe you can let him get a red, but you just have to, Rapha just has to put the damage on now to get rid of that red armor and, again, keep Spartie at arm's length in that sense and just keep him in spots where he has to get desperate, has to make a mistake that Rapha can easily capitalize upon. And that's a nice little spot to get a quick connection. That'll do the job. And now he can try and steal away the red. It's, again, a really nice delay between the red and the mega. So, again, a great position for Rapha.
Where did that grenade come from? Spartie's just going to fly in. He's taken that red over quickly. Spartie is going to have to get through the teleporter. He's got loads of armor, but he has got no health at all. Is he able to shake Rapha off his tail? Just about. That mega coming up means Rapha, he wants to take control of that room. But Spartie, he's still has the control at the moment. The mega hasn't been taken. He takes him down. That is 3-5, and we should have control from Spartie. There's 4 seconds left till red. He needs to get in that room and make sure that Rapha is not present. Great success from Spartie there, and he should be able to build his way back in this. Rapha is going to be on full defensive mode at the moment. I don't think it's worth him investing a single frag to try and reduce the control. Can't get that rail to connect, but he is going to get the second one. 4-5, Spartie on the case.
Yeah, lovely dive there. That's how you do it. I mean, that was just perfect to the millisecond with that pickup. Rapha never knew what was coming. And again, the attack is being pressed here by Spartie. Great flick rail coming out now as he can potentially go for the follow-up, but he doesn't have to get too far ahead of himself. He does have 2.5 minutes to play, but Rapha's going to offer himself up. He'll go for it, and it should be pretty easy to finish him off. There connects another rail, but somehow still alive is Rapha, running around another rail to keep himself alive. And now it's starting to get really awkward for Spartie, but there you go.
I thought he was going to crate it for a second. He's got 1 health left. He lands a direct rocket, but Rapha is going to pinch the lead, and he's going to get the red after that. That tying frag that Spartie got was just so messy in the end that he ended up losing a bunch of resources. He should have been clearly in control still after that frag, but it just wasn't the case. And now Spartie, yep, I was about to say he's at risk of losing back and having to do that work all over again. Problem is he has got a fraction of the time that he had before to make that happen. Just a couple of health left there for Spartie.
Yeah, very unfortunate. It was looking so good for him, but this is still time. It's still time. It is still QuakeWorld, although Quake Live, sorry, QuakeWorld is tomorrow. But of course, there's only so much you can do against someone of the smarts of Rapha. But here he is, great engagement for the LG, pushing Spartie away. What? Great rockets coming out. Very hard to hit them in that angle. Hits the directs though, and Spartie's back in with another frag, just 2 kills away. The pressure's on, the time is on right now. Spartie has to back away for the red armor, but he could make something happen here.
Maker's not been taken, actually. Rapha, he had a chance to just split on the items and probably be able to at least play another 30 seconds just running away. Issue is that Spartie is not able to play that long-range game. He's got rockets and LG. That rail is going to become very important, but he has not got access to it. Rapha's currently blocking the passage to it. Is he just going to go into LG? He's got lightning gun and machine gun, and, well, you know which one you're going to pick.
So things getting scary here for Rapha. He's got no armor at the moment. Just around 50 health. Spartie's very, very dangerous at the moment. He's got 60 seconds to find the frag, and all he needs is to get a little bit lucky on the follow spawn of Rapha. And now he's just trying to outsmart him. He will go for the drop. He's going to catch Rapha, and he has to go for it with the time that's left. Rapha is just pinning him with his rockets. This is very dangerous. How on earth does Rapha stop him from getting the kill there? That should have been Spartie's, and I mean, surely Rapha's going to be fine from this position. He'll pick up the red armor. He's looking pretty healthy overall.
I think he's going to be able to defend himself from this full guarantee, basically. But I think it's so smart from Rafer what he's doing. He knew that Spartie did not have access to the railgun, and that was one weapon that would really unlock the possibility of Spartie making that comeback in the last minute and a half. And Spartie, he had to force a fight. And, well, Rapha weaving in and out, hitting some good rockets. Going to make it impossible for Spartie to make that comeback happen, but a fantastic first match that we've seen between these two players. It looks as if the final score is going to be Rapha 10 and Spartie 6, moving into the rest of the series.
Wow, I mean, it's really interesting actually, because I felt like Rapha made a lot of there was a lot of small spots where maybe he got a little bit over aggressive, or and I think Spartie played really well overall, but I think he just got unlucky here and there. But generally, both players showing solid players, very backwards and forwards this match.
I think that one critical moment for Spartie though is when it was 5-6 and he was tying it up. That frag was just so messy. He was using so much of his health and resources just trying to get that frag and pushing and pushing. He had 86 health left, chasing with the shotgun. He knew that Rapha had absolutely nothing going for him. But Rapha hitting that last rail where he almost crated just trying to pick up the health bubble, Spartie that is, just made it too difficult. He couldn't get a red armor. He couldn't hold his own at all. Rapha could just rush straight in. That would have been his plan. And he knew he could do that. And it worked perfectly. It was too late for Spartie to make a third comeback of the game, or however many it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, that drop that he made where he was able to steal away the red, that looked like that was never going to happen. I mean, it was so quick. I was incredibly surprised, as was Rapha, of course, as well.
It was amazing from Spartie. It was so good to see him play like that as well. Yeah. I wasn't expecting that kind of level of confidence. But the issue is, we're sitting on Hektik right now, and a lot of the American viewers know that Rapha may be unbeatable on this map.
It is it's a great map for Spartie as well. I mean, historically, he's often had very good games again, because if he can get his rail going, when it's on, when he gets the confidence, when he's connecting those shots, he's always very dangerous, and you can do a lot with a solid railgun on this map. But actually, so far, Rapha's looking very confident from an execution perspective. He's not afraid at all to take the fights, and that was another cool thing about that first map that we just saw. Both players were going for pretty much all the risks. They weren't deciding to play passively. If there was an option to go aggressive and just keep the pressure on, they were both taking it. And this is a pretty fun map if you have two players that are looking to keep the pressure on.
It definitely wasn't like watching the road to QuakeCon where we had 0-4 and Saiga go 2 maps in a row where the score was 1-0. And I think one of them didn't get the first frag till the 5th overtime, which is just, that's not how you do it. You need to be getting frags earlier than that. Yeah. We want to see more of them, and we're definitely getting that from these two players. And Hektik is typically the type of map where you're going to see a lot, like an Aerowalk, for example. Not sure which other map comes to mind that I can compare it to, but they're just iconic for fast-paced fragging action. You're going to get a lot of rails going on. Whoever's out of control is going to want to pick up that railgun and really just do that damage from a distance. We'll see how the control, though, lays out. We're getting into map 2 right now. Rapha's a map up. Spartie needs this one if he wants to stay in the series.
And so here already we're going to see the Mega picked up and the LG and the Rel there. The fight commences, and Spartie trying to commit there, trying to keep Rapha in the choke point, but it looked pretty problematic. He'll still pick up the kill, but this is looking a little bit awkward there. Needs to get over to that red, but he failed, and Rapha's going to be able to capitalize. That is a really big change of pace potentially here. Just Rapha able to capitalize on one missed jump and then rocket straight to the face.
He was lucky that he even got that yellow armor. That rocket landed at the split second, the same time as the yellow spawned. But Rapha nailing that rail afterwards is no problem for him to tie the game up. And I think Spartie's going to be kicking himself from not making that simple circle jump to get himself over to that red. Spartie trying to get a frag. That rail would have landed him it, but he was not able. Another red for Rapha. Is he able to perpetuate the control now, being 2 frags ahead?
Yeah, it must be a really frustrating situation if you're Spartie, and Rapha isn't looking to let off the pressure anytime soon. He knows he has an advantage that he can press, especially as he has the superior, well, more weapons to work with, more health, more armor, trying to push the choke point there. Spartie cleverly using that plasma gun to deny entry from Rapha. I mean, Rapha could try to get in, but he would take too much damage. He knows it. So, oh, look at this. The attempt for the steal is going to work out, but Spartie takes a lot of damage. The follow-up rail's missed by Rapha as well.
Well played from Spartie to actually deny that red armor from Rapha, but he's got to make some damage on him. Otherwise, it's not really going to count for anything. Gets a little bit of plasma out on the Mega. Rapha's struggling to get above that sort of 200 level stack, but he is going to take down his 4th frag. Red's going to be up in a couple of seconds. Can Spartie push him away, or just get any additional damage that can really keep Rapha on his toes? Lovely jumping, lovely movement there from Rapha, but he has been weakened a bit by Spartie.
Yeah, absolutely perfect movement, and looks like he's going to be able to hopefully for Rapha, like extend his lead from this position. It looks like Spartie wanted to try to get in a risky engagement there, see if he can connect a direct rocket, but he was unfortunate not to do so. And that's going to give Rapha a great position now, because although the Mega was picked up, it should be very possible for Rapha to get a lot of damage out of this situation already. The rockets will be connecting a follow-up rail as well. Life just gets harder and harder for Spartie at the moment.
Absolutely does. Shotgun going out. Spartie's on, well, he's on no health actually. But Rafa going to need that 50 health level to keep his game going. And you might be looking at the score and thinking something to do with Brazil, but in reality, this is a fast-paced map. You can see the frags go 10 a difference, 12 a difference. I mean, we had the record of Destruct in 0-4 going 14 a difference and still making the comebacks a possibility. So do not fear for Spartie at the moment. He just needs to make sure he gets hold of that railgun and really starts getting some solid damage on him.
Yeah, this map is so much about positioning, and well, we can again, Spartie goes for the Mega, he gets trapped, he takes too much damage because Rapha was not really out of position to deal with it. That's normally the spot that you want. If they're slightly out of position, because it's so central, you can still get some damage as the player attacking the guy taking the Mega, but that was just Rapha basically standing over him, watching him go in there. So there's just no way you can get out there without dying. And Rapha will extend his lead, continue to control. Red Armor's not up for a while, of course. Spartie, though, he's got nothing to his name at the moment apart from a railgun.
Alright, that is the important weapon he needs, but he's preferring to go through this mid-range kind of fights rather than really staying at a distance. And now that Rapha's sitting at 200, 100 health and armor, lovely still, like the movement there from Spartie, but what can he make out of it? Issue is, though, is Rapha shouldn't be this stacked. This is just dangerous territory, and he could very easily pick up another 2, 3, 4 frags and even steal the game in the next 2 minutes. And I don't want to be saying that for Spartie, as he's had such a good performance this series up until this point.
Well, we just saw some hope there because Rapha missed 3 fairly straightforward rail shots, and those he should be hitting every time. It would have secured him the frag. But at the same time, Spartie then perhaps was thinking, okay, I have a stack, I have weapons to work with, I have to play passively now to try to heal up so I can take engagements. But Rapha's just sitting pretty at the moment, although he will catch Spartie picking up that Mega. Nice. He's going to hit one of the harder rails all of a sudden, catch Spartie off the spawn. That is definitely not what Spartie wanted to happen after the Mega pickup. After he worked so hard for it, he's just going to get punished even more.
Let's have a little bit of positivity, though, for Spartie. That's the most damage that he's done to Rapha in a significant period of time. Although that plasma against Spartie was horrific. And Spartie's just showing us the teleporter and running through it over and over again, just trying to mess a little bit with Rapha. Keeping that higher ground. With the Mega up, he has got direct access to it. But can you get out that trick point? There's no other exit from the Mega health. You've got to go through that area where Rapha is firing rockets. Actually, Spartie's done okay up until that teleporter where he took a direct rocket and the rail at the end from Rapha, making it 13-1. And he's going to be able to pick up that yellow armor. Oh no, he's going to take down 1 health left from Spartie, and he's finally got himself his second frag. He had the first frag of the game, wasn't able to follow up, and now maybe he's going to be able to pick up some momentum. That was a lovely third.
Yeah, beautiful rocket there on the prediction towards the railgun, but as you say, it can't really stop here. It's just got to go all the way for the comeback at this point. Already down so many frags, and Rapha's starting to pick up some positioning as well as some weapons. Great connection with the LG, but he needs to get the follow-up spot. He has to get the damage on to Rapha. He's got to take pretty poor engagement. He's got to take big risks right now to get back into the game, and he's going to try to do so. But of course, that Mega is up. He just wants to make sure that he can get some damage in before he picks it up. But now, again, Rapha is on top of him and gets a quick rocket. He knows he's done enough. Doesn't have to stay around there. Rapha's going to get positioning towards the red now. Well, where is Rapha actually? He's actually very quiet now.
At the moment. You don't want to play too defensive at this point, but he's landing those rails. This is what I was really hoping Spartie would do more, is just rely on the railgun. Don't go for the close-range fights. Rapha, has he bitten off more than he can shoot? Definitely not. Spartie lands nothing, and Rapha forces him out that room.
And definitely a big sign of hope. One of the only signs of hope so far in this Hektik matchup for Spartie is the rails that Rapha has routinely been missing, the easy ones. He's been connecting the hard ones, but once again we get the engagement, but the rockets fall the way better in the way of Rapha. That's very unfortunate for Spartie.
Rapha's aim has been extremely impressive. Another rails, Spartie hasn't got time to reload on that gun. Machine gun, notice Rapha gets down to 4 health. He picks up the health bubble, and he is going to now go 16-3. This is a dominant scoreline. It's sad to say for Spartie, if he's not able to get himself back on the board, I'd say in the next 20 seconds, and get control after it, there's a lot of follow-up things that need to happen, then it's game over. That would be Rapha taking down the first series of the day.
Yeah, and again, As you say, importantly, first series of the day, I think we can see some rustiness from the execution of both players. As again, you know, Rapha missing some of these key rails, which would have made things look even more dominant. So if we see him fixing that in this game, you can see how scary Rapha is in understanding the pace of this map, how to position around it, and now he's starting to get, you know, nice couple rails there. So hopefully that can continue still. Another nice couple, but there's no pressure on these ones. He knows he's already got a massive lead right now, and there's not much more that he has to do.
I do feel positive for Spartie, regardless of the outcome of the series. I feel for him, he needed that Furious Heights win in order to have a chance in the series. I really felt coming into Hektik that maybe Spartie can do some damage, but Rapha really has been the self-proclaimed king of this map. And we could have possibly seen a tiebreaker had Spartie made that comeback a reality. But otherwise, going deeper into the tournament for Spartie, I see some positive things happening. If this is just the beginning and he's able to continue warming up, as you say, iron out any of the creases that he's got in his gameplay, like Rapha will surely be doing, then we could see some interesting matchups later.
Yeah, and he had a very frustrating start, to be honest. Missing a jump, costing him control. That's one of the most frustrating things that can actually happen to you when you're a jeweler in this game, because there's many ways to lose control. That shouldn't be, like an unforced error like that, that shouldn't be the way that it happens. So we've got Rapha actually under some damage here. Some pretty even stacks for both players in the last minute and a half as Spartie tries to get some kills, so, you know, so he can feel some semblance of confidence, something like he did something in this match.
Feeling of positivity or just general integrity. Don't want to have your ego dented a little bit.
Sometimes when you're getting completely dominated, you can forget what it feels like to actually get a kill. Like that's like a horrible position
Do I
to
even
be
remember how to get a kill? How does this happen? But Rapha has been absolutely dominant here. And I feel the way that the short periods where Rapha was out of control, I felt that he just played it so much better. Spartie, he was getting the lightning gun and the rocket, and he was really trying to push on, and you know, he made some good steals on items, but it never amounted to anything. I think it would have been better if he just let Rapha take some items and play the long-range games. Try to land some of these rails. And don't let Rapha come up close.
And Rapha is really good at forcing the engagements that he wants with positioning. There's lots of spots where you have to make choices, where there's a kind of an opportunity cost where do I take a better position, or do I try to get like a shot in now and then have a slightly worse position later, or do I get, you know, faster to this item and so on and so forth. And Rapha's so good at managing all of those situations to make sure that he's taking or keeping the right amount of pressure on whilst never really giving up position on items properly. So really well played. I mean, we saw how he worked the Mega. Spartie got caught there so many times. Spartie obviously picked up 10 of them, but I feel like that's like he's minus health from that decision to go for the Megas, because every time he's getting destroyed there by Rapha.
No, absolutely. 28-3, though. That's a scoreline Spartie will want to forget about as rapidly as possible.
Yeah.
But he can cling on to a bit of confidence from that Furious Heights game, which I thought was really excellent way to really introduce the tournament. At least that was very exciting. But nonetheless, we are going to be going into another game very shortly where we will be seeing Rapha again, as he's going to be going up versus Evil. A lot of people feeling that this is going to be what we'll see in the grand finals. They've had a pretty interesting history. I think, firstly, it was DreamHack Summer 2012. Maybe it was DreamHack Winter 2012, where Evil beat Rapha and got his first and only international title. And since then, Evil's not really been able to get things going, get the juices flowing against Rapha at all. Rapha's had the better of him pretty much every time, at least when it counts.
Exactly. No, again, it's just that thing of figuring out Evil, because Evil kind of popped up and everyone's like, whoa, this guy is kind of destroying everybody, and no one could really understand quite how to deal with him. And then Rapha, as you say, he lost against him. Then I think he played against him in a couple online series before the lead up to the next QuakeCon, which was 2013. And then he actually beat Rapha in the early stages of the tournament, and then they ended up going against each other in the finals, and it felt like that's when Rapha worked him out, and then since then he hasn't lost. So Rapha's won all the most important matches against him, apart from that very first loss, as you mentioned. So can Evil now turn the tables? I think Rapha's the hardest player to do it against because of the way that he plays the game.
And I feel that Evil as well has been lacking a little bit of confidence lately. The online tournaments, he hasn't been getting the results that he's really wanted. He's been beaten by some players that really he shouldn't have, even though he had a huge reign of terror for such a long time. I wonder if he's really going to be able to get back to that type of shape. But I think between now and that game starting, we may have an interview lined up. So what we'll do is we'll cut away and we'll be back shortly with the next match.